What's going on, everyone? Hope everybody's doing well today. Everybody's having a chill holiday weekend. Let's see here. Dashboard real quick. All right. So welcome to the stream. I hope everybody's doing good. Don't really have much planned for today. Crazy. Just gonna work on some tracks, do a little detailing, hang out. Kind of do more of the same. Chill out, relax. Nothing too crazy. So thank y'all for joining me today. Really appreciate it. And go ahead and get this crack-a-lackin'. So I think first thing I want to do is start doing some detailing. Okay. So what do I want to do here? Alright, so first thing I need to do is make a decision on what sounds I want to use. Let me look at my packs real quick.
Yeah.
Oh, also, by the way, I'm drinking some GTS kombucha. This stuff's great. Alright. I'm not liking that. Let's go here. Don't want to use any loops. I have nothing against loops, but I like making my own stuff. I maybe sometimes use them as a starter, but just to get my creative juices flowing. But I'm not really a loop kind of guy. Let's see, did I use toms in here? I don't think so. Oh yes, I did. I used the intro tom right there. So okay. Yeah, I need some more percussion. Should give its own. Onto the track. I just want something nice and subtle. Doesn't have to be too crazy. And let's see, what should I put on here? Roll with a delay. Cut. Okay. This sounds here. Oh yeah. See, sometimes that happens. Oop. So that right there might be slightly corrupted. Let's see. Yeah, it is. So that's when you don't go ahead and use this sample. You just delete it. Huh. Wow, what is going on here? Alright. Oh. Some pads. Alright. So sometimes that happens, and that means that this is going. See, troubleshoot. Alright. Yeah, sometimes that happens to me. And I have to just try and guesstimate what is going on with it. Oh. Okay, so you want to see what happened here? I just figured it out. For some reason, this sample, when I was in my editor, it put itself in here and it copied this pattern. So this is what happens. This is when you obviously you live stream fail, but then you go ahead and open it, don't save it, and you just reopen the project file and just act like nothing happened. Because obviously we're professionals here and everything's great. All right, let's see if this is yeah, oh, it went on the sampler. That's what it was. Okay. Yeah. Oh man, don't you just love it sometimes? But I still got the sample right here, so we'll just keep it going. Let me go ahead and just be safe and open this with open new channel. All right. 55. I was all thinking that I had something corrupted on here, and I was like, oh no, it's not a great time to buy a new computer for me. So, oh great. But thankfully, it's just a little bit of misclicking here and there. Alright. We'll go ahead here and go back to this effect I was going for. Go to my main perk. See, we just want to create a little atmosphere movement in the back. We use digital. You know, actually, too, we can turn the panning down since we're going to pan the delay. turn the volume down a little bit. Okay, let's see this. What's up? What's up? That's right, 281. What's happening? So one of the things that's interesting about this is that a lot of times you'll do a bunch of different details and stuff that you won't even really be able to hear per se. It's just kind of in there to add a little bit of feel, add a little bit of texture to your track. See, you can barely hear that in the mix right now. But it serves its purpose. It kind of hits your left ear a little bit and keeps it kind of tingling and moving, keeps things going. Actually, I want to make sure I take the highs off here. There we go. Let's see here. So that's right. I also want to do one more thing, or a couple things, but this track's a little brighter than need something open, really open. No. That's not gonna work. That'll work. All right, so this is going to be something I do on the, let's just add a new pattern here. Actually, I guess it would be at. All right. This might be slightly overkill, but we'll go with it and see what happens after I do some prelim EQ. Does it come down a lot? Be high passed. Okay. So we'll just stick this right here. Yeah, it's not bright enough. It's a little better. So unfortunately, sometimes it's hours of searching for the right samples. So, yeah. Let's see. That one's okay. I won't mess with it today. But I will do this. We'll cut some mids out. And it's not bright like I want it to be. So maybe I'll stick some dry verb on here. Use a less intensive verb. Crossover down. All right, here we go. Oops, I forgot to pull up my calculator. I should probably memorize these times, but let's see here, I'm at 127. So, a 32nd. Actually, let me go to the 16th. 118. All right. Get big. Somewhat bright. Not doing any modulation. Cut off. 300 is good. So turn some reflection on too. No, it's still not what I want. See, that happens sometimes. Not really what you want, so you just kind of got to keep pushing on. No, the close not really what I want either. This could get risky. Transients too long. Yeah, it's a little too long for my taste. Try the next pack. Oh, but the ride. Yeah, this might work. Okay, that works. Better to find it now. Alright, so now we'll go into piano roll and do a little editing here. We'll give it a 1.5. Play with the velocities. I've been avoiding or putting off trying to put white noise on here, but it's looking like I might have to because it's not really giving me the uplift I want. So, and come on, let's see. All right, go back here. These are bright enough. Yeah, okay. Mm. It's a little better. You know what? Let me go in here and do a little editing on the piano roll. The velocity. Alright. Well, it's up kind of high. So, as you can tell, a lot of my producing is a lot of deliberation. I'll sit and think about, okay, what do I really want to do? What am I trying to accomplish here? And the panning on these is off too. That's why. Okay, don't miss one. Okay, so let's make this extreme now. not extreme, but more exaggerated. Okay, so I pulled that out of center. I guess one thing that I've been playing around with that I can show is I've been using Patcher more lately, and especially on my master channel. Where's the rename? Okay, Patcher, mid, side, EQ, master. Alright. I thought I had saved it on here when I did it before, but I know I did it on my template, so since I don't have FabFilter or any of those other built-in mid-side EQs, I just went on to FL Studio's manual and went to some of the tutorial videos and figured out how to make my own, which is something you got to do sometimes. And luckily you can use, so this right here, Fruity Stereo Shaper, if you go to your mixing preset and use the mid A-side splitter, it actually puts your stereo sound into in-out 2. And then you just right click here and go to outputs, audio, send number 2. And then now you have your EQ set up, route them out through FL Studio. So now let me see if I can show you an example of. So now I cut the mids out right there. And then there's the stereo cut out. And so why you'd want to do that is basically, you want to make sure that you don't have any of your stereo sound field or imaging field putting off too many low frequencies, because that'll mess up with your kick, your bass line, anything you want to sit kind of lower. So, and I need to make sure I rename these to mid and side. So it's a pretty cool little technique picked up. I actually am going to do a high pass on this. See, if you don't, this is the stereo with all the, I guess you could say, all the low end still on there. And see, you can cut it using parametric EQ too. And for some reason, I just noticed that my OBS isn't picking up this parametric window. I think it's because it's inside Patcher, but it looks just like your regular parametric EQ too. So there's nothing too crazy about it. And you know what? I'm also going to boost the highs a little bit to make it a little shiny. Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah. So I like about 300. Yeah, I think that's good. Oops. So then turn the mid back on. And go ahead and dip it at around 30 hertz. Just to kind of clean up the low end a little bit, because everything that's hitting mid, you want the bass to hit cleanly. And this all can change. I mean, you can make cuts. Almost anything you want in here. You can roll off the low end at 15K on your mid if you want to tone it down a little bit. You don't have to though. Make cuts wherever you feel like it. Well, not wherever you feel like it, but wherever it makes sense to you. So now I'm turn the stereo back on, or the side EQ. yeah, just making some prog here. I think also, yeah. So I'm trying something out of the ordinary with this track. Let me see if I can show you guys a good rep of it. So I'm actually sidechaining the pluck over here to the bass line, and I'm running a pretty aggressive sidechain on here into the pluck bus, and basically just so that when the pluck hits, I want the bass line to kind of follow, so it hits, it ducks out just a tad bit, so it sounds like it's trailing it. Let me see if I can get a good. That's what it sounds like with it. So it's slight. It's not really that crazy, and it's a real fast, pretty much an instant attack, and then a real slow or real fast release, real light. And then I use a sustain knob to kind of round off the curve a little bit, but it's not too much compression. Sorry, I didn't mean to talk about that. It's not too much compression. It's just enough to kind of get the real loud peaks and the transients right here. But and then when you couple that with the kick, everything kind of pumps a little bit more. Sorry, I had to check my dashboard real quick. Alright, it's sounding kind of nice. Okay, sorry, I got some notifications. I got my side monitor, and it's like way over here because I don't have as much table space as I would like. So if I keep looking over here, that's why. I'm not neglecting anybody. Don't worry. Don't worry. I'm in the game, coach. All right, so let's take these here, and this is so why I put these rides in here, it's basically to break up a little bit of the monotony of between these two verses here and to add a little bit of variation. So here you go. Slightly. Okay. I'm debating if I want to put him here. Kind of kills the vibe of that. Okay, hold on one second. It's sounding a little bit. Yeah, it's sounding a little bit. Where'd you go? Here you are. Everything's not color coded on this, so I'm like, where did everything go? It's okay. Oh, yeah, I know what it is. Is that notch? I have a little bit too much here. Yeah. Gonna use the same EQ principle here. Drop it to 10,000. It's just slightly harsh, a bit too harsh. So let's see. All right. Well, that's good right there. Yep, it's that rain. All right, so I keep hearing I'm mixing this one with my headphones for the first time in a long time. I'm hearing some of this. It's kind of bugging me, and I'm like, really? I just wanted to fill up space between 300 hertz ish and 4,000. Yeah. Okay. So I think I might be close on this one, just from I don't feel like working on it anymore, and so I might put this one out somewhere. All right. So the kicks. Wow, I must have mixed. I mixed this when I was not paying attention, because kicks don't have any of my normal processing chain on. Well, that's my fault. Yep. Sorry about that. Watch your ears real quick. Let me turn this compressor down. Alright. Real quick. Soft knee. Let's go 4 ratio, and let's see. Ambient compression at 12. How much is that taken away? Not a lot. 16. Okay, that'll work out. All right. Drop the volume. Okay. Let's see, where you at? Answer. Mono. Yep, I'm one of those people. Everyone puts their kicks in mono and then puts their bass or their 808s in some type of stereo mono hybrid. But yeah, the kicks sound a little better. And we don't have any compression engaged here, do we? Alright. So we're going to do a little bit of a mild form of glue compression using the compressors I have. Let's see. A little bit of compression there. Yeah, I think the pad's a little too loud too. It's not warm enough actually either. Okay, turn it down. Yeah. So once again, mid-side EQ. Take out all the mid, bring it back. Take out the stereo. So I didn't explain most of this, but the reason why you want to pay attention to mid-side EQ is partly so that your mixes sound cleaner, but also so they'll translate to better or worse speakers. So from your studio monitors to your nightclubs to your laptop speakers to your Bluetooth speakers to your you know, somebody's TV speakers, you know, whatever they're using. If you use mid-side EQ effectively and you don't abuse it, it will make your mixes translate better on all, you know, make it sound better on all things. And one of the things I talked about this the last time I streamed, which was a while ago, I apologize. But you want to make sure that you're referencing your mix in mono as well as in regular stereo, because you can be able to kind of get a glimpse of how it sounds in mono to stereo, if you have phasing issues or not that you need to clean up, all sorts of things. Like I can put this in mono here, and you know, obviously in mono it's going to be more narrow, but it still has the basic body of the sound there. It has everything that you're really going for. And you bring it back to stereo, and it sounds like it does coming out of your headphones, out of your monitors, out of whatever you're using. So, yeah. And, you know, this is all kind of basic mixing, but it's stuff that not everybody knows and not everybody kind of pays attention to when they first start out. You want to make sure that you leave a lot of your bass and your kicks and your low end in mono, or at least you can play around with bass lines in the higher register with putting them stereo and maybe just having a layer of mono underneath, but you have to watch out for phasing issues. But you want to make sure that everything kind of your low end kind of plays in that mono, because when you're playing at a club or something or on a professional system in the studio, your mono is going to be basically your subs, because you want your subs right down the middle with that punch, and there's not going to be multiple speakers playing that bass. It's going to be one big sub. So, or at least that's just how I understand it and how I've seen it in clubs when I've played, and then when I played my own songs there, and I did an A/B test. Actually, one time I was helping a newer club get their sound system to figure out what they had, and because they purchased an existing club, and one of the cool things was I A/B'd some work in progresses, and I could hear how, like, in one track my bass was mixed a certain way, and it didn't really sound that good because it didn't have a lot of stuff down the middle mono. That it was kind of a higher register, more stereo bass, and then I played another track and it was all straight down the middle, and I was pumping on the sub, and I was like, dang. So you kind of never know. Well, if you kind of follow those principles, what you're gonna get, to an extent. But yeah, it's pretty interesting, pretty fun. Definitely, when all this is over and it's safe for everybody to be out and about and to go do things, and there's not as much unknown risk, I can't wait to get back in clubs and start playing again and just hanging out, enjoying, going to raves, going to shows. I mean, so much stuff I had to, push back, postpone. So much stuff my friends did, so much stuff my peers did. It's been crazy, but I'm glad that I had the foresight to do that, and I listened to the people around me and listened to my gut, and I was like, we need to be safe, because yeah, it's not worth risking that right now. I'd rather wait till it's safe and everyone can enjoy, not just a small number of people. So yeah, things are cool, but we're getting there day by day. Just gotta stay safe, wash your hands, and just keep taking those steps to protect yourself and to protect others. So that's my quarantine message for you. But back to what I was talking about with A/B mixing and mid-side. So I think that little melody synth here is a little too okay. I don't want to change this. Let's see. Oh no, I messed it up. It's a little better. think if I turn the reverb up on it and switch this delay. Sounds like something you could hear on Castlevania, the game. Okay, I'm gonna have to put that down real quick. That actually sounds kind of cool. Okay. Let me reset this real quick. That's a big jump. That's a 2-octave jump. Oh, this needs to come here. Yeah. Okay. Do one. Yeah, okay. I need to taking a little too much time. Yeah, okay, alright. So I need to scoot this out a little bit. Needs to be a 2. These need to be longer. Yeah, I need to scoot all this down. Oops, snakes. Okay. Yeah, there we go. There we go. I'm feeling it. And let's make this a little bit longer. Be longer too. I don't know why, but sometimes you just are working on one thing and you get a cool little pattern that I'm not going to use this in this song, I don't think, but I got it now and it sounds interesting. So, because I don't even think I put that in the same key that I'm working in right now, but yeah. So okay, sorry. Back to regular scheduled stuff. Sometimes you get hit by inspiration and you just go with it. So I was working on this sound though. You know what? I got too much. That's what it is. I got a little too much reverb on here. Not enough delay. Yeah, okay. That's what it is. Let's go with eighth. Go with a quarter delay at fourth. All right. Looking good, looking good. Okay. Let's see. What else was I gonna do for detailing here? Maybe these need to be a little drier. No, first of all, I need to cut out a little more of this. Okay, it's got that kind of that 2010, 2009 prog feel going on, 2008. So that's I don't know why the bass line sounds like it's out of key. It's not really out of key. It's sounding like it's struggling with that jump there. Well, I gave it some time to there we go. Yeah, because that's still in the key. I mean, but it's just struggling to hit that lower register on that jump. Yes, sounds better now. Yep, okay. You know what? Me snapping there just made me go, hey, let me put some snaps in here. Oh, wow. Hands make sounds, all right. What would work good here and not take away from it? Those ones sound nice. Let's go with it. Let's see. Trim it down. Put it into the mixer track and let's go for the gusto. I'll keep them down the middle right now. All right, and if I'm rambling a lot, I apologize. This is what I normally do. So I guess just roll with it. Let's see, okay. On the 1 and the 3, that might be. Let's see how that sounds. Or no, maybe 2 and 4, like it's a clap. Yeah, that's better. This is kind of a drastic cut, but yeah, alright, so that sounds cool. Should I put it at the beginning? Right here. No, I don't like it there. Yeah, okay, that's cool. What about in the second break here? Let's see. Yeah, I kind of changed my mind on this snap. What about this one? Oh yeah. That stack snap sounds really nice, I think, here. Oh. And you know what, too? I'm gonna add a slight touch of delay to eighth note delay, analog. And I'm gonna turn it down on the feedback, turn the quality to low, so it's a little raspy. Just cut all the low end and see if I can get a good. Add a little bit of atmosphere to it. Wow, okay. All right, so that is very happy compared to what I usually make, and very bright. Let's see. I think I like where this one's sitting at right now. I'm not really sure if there's anything else I want to add to it that I can think of. Let's see. Well, that is still giving me a little pause, but you know what? Let me smoothen out that. Yeah, it's a little smoother, 10 milliseconds. could have sidechained this to stop. See, I'm getting into the point where I start nitpicking. I don't know, Chad, if y'all have anything that y'all start nitpicking with, but this is sometimes I get into the weeds of tracks and I'm just like, oh, this little sound that no one else can hear but me and, you know, 100 other producers who maybe listen to it can hear. It's bothering me. I gotta change it. But sometimes you have to learn to just sometimes let that go. If it doesn't, it might just be bothering you, but to everybody else, the track might sound really cool. You just kind of gotta force yourself to go, okay, I'm done. Um, yeah, I guess story time. I have been working on some of my tracks for like 5 years. It's embarrassing, but so I sometimes I tinker and I nitpick, and then I'm like, oh crap, I'll work on it later, and then a year goes by, and I'm like, oh, I never finished this. So it's one of those things where you kind of just gotta get to it. Like the real pro, like the pros, like the guys winning Grammys and stuff, they're able to finish tracks like that, and it's in and out, and they're on to the next one, and but that's because they made hundreds of thousands of songs in the past year or so. I've been producing for 11 years, and I've only released 26 records, I think 27, and I've made probably about a couple hundred. I'm probably close to 1,000 now, but it's just like, yeah, you get to a point where you get like prolific. I haven't been this prolific since I started, and I'm still not very. My problem is I'll make a bunch of tracks, but then I'll take my sweet time releasing them. So it happens sometimes, but you just gotta kind of roll with it. So all right, let's see. I don't know if that's too loud. Okay, let me look here. That might be a little too loud. Oh, hey, let's see. Magic. My style is kind of gone all over the place. I started out making like a mixture of really kind of this type of kind of real melodic progressive, and I've really, really, really moved into like that deeper, more stripped down sound that started last year with Deadbolt, and it's continuing. It also was my tracks Drama and Alter Ego, and I think in the hopefully next couple months, I'm gonna have another EP releasing that's kind of a more deeper, like not necessarily old school progressive, but kind of like that mixture between like melodic and deep progressive, like kind of Digweed and Guy J and um all the way to J Tech, like that whole spectrum. That's kind of where it's moved towards, because that's what I started listening to. I started listening to progressive house and trance back in like 2007, I believe, 2006. Yeah, and after that, I'd listened to that, and I listened to old school house like Frankie Knuckles and Cassius, and like old school French house like Daft Punk, and those were like my beginnings. It was like trance and old school house, and then I kind of branched off from there. But yeah, I think it has been a gradual. I've gone way deeper than I ever imagined I would when I first started, and I wouldn't say I abandoned the progressive sound, but I kind of just make it for fun now. I don't really make it for anything super seriously. Like I'll make it just to put out on labels of friends or to give away for free. So yeah, it's been kind of an interesting progression for me. Ha ha ha. Yeah. Sorry, dad jokes. But yeah, it's been an interesting progression for me to see how I've kind of changed in not only in what I make, but in what I play too. I feel like my sets have gone a lot deeper and houseier than they started off. They started off a little trancey, and it's kind of switched over. But yeah, it's I don't know, cause into I have some stuff y'all will probably never hear it because I don't think it's good. But I've made some like drum and bass, and I've made some other stuff here and there that you just always got to experiment. And sometimes you need to try something new to get your mind right for what you're trying to focus on. But yeah, so we'll see. I roll with the wind wherever the wind takes me on some of those. Just when it comes to tracks. All right, I think I've hit the point where there's not a lot I want to do this. You know what though? I can do a little detailing. I'll fill it in here. Let's see. Um, so sometimes I like to just hide sounds. But first you have to find the right sound. Hmm. Let's see. Not hear anything in that pack. One day I will go through and organize all these sample packs. Like I mean they're organized based on pack, but I need to just go in and listen to all of them again and just figure out which ones. Oh, nope, that is analog chiptune 8-bit stuff. Oops. That's not what I want to be in. Oh man, I found this. I found this. This is kind of funny. I have a whole bunch of old N64 sounds that somebody ripped. So like I have Banjo Kazooie. And it's like, let's see, I got Star Fox. It was like a trip in the fields full of nostalgia for me when I found this pack.
This is one steep bill.
Yeah, I have lots of random samples, obviously. I've got GoldenEye, I've got Ocarina of Time and Majora's Mask, Zelda, Donkey Kong 64. I even got Extreme G samples. And I got Smash Bros, Super Mario 64. Let's see. There any ones that... Yeah, I gotta go through those too and check those out, but we'll update and make sure I should just label them all, but maybe when I get more free time. I've been good so far in quarantine of actually working on tracks I need to finish, so it's like, all right, now I'm starting to get to the point where I can kind of mess around again. Nope. Let's see. That's atmosphere, samples, lounge. No, it's all kits. Here we go. None of that sound like it's gonna fit unless I heavily process it, and I'm not really trying to do that. Oh, those are full on loops. Alright. Well, it might not have any cool. Oh, here we go. That mouth click is cool. Yep, that's what I'll use. Alright. Okay, open a new channel. Trim. Okay, where's my mix sitting? Okay, I'm a little on the right. I need to balance it a little bit. So, turn this down. And let me add a pop. If I can find a crackle, I can make some Rice Krispie treats. Oh, more dad jokes. I'm just out of control today. I'm sorry, y'all. I know y'all didn't sign up for dad jokes. Okay, so I'm just gonna hide that just right in the mix here, and just something fun to. And hopefully it won't bug me before I finish this track, but do it to the breaks. You know, I could leave it. I just EQ it a little bit. Just slightly. All right. Let's sit here. Yeah. All right, I like how that's going. I like that groove. It's feeling nice. So, um, just a slight bit of, you can do a little detailing here and there. You don't really even need to process that if you don't want to. Some of the little sound effects you use, you can just lower the volume, throw an EQ on there to make sure they're not super harsh, and just hide them in the mix. Let's see. What else do I want to do to this? All that stuff's a little too. Oh no, not gonna put that in there. It's pretty good Foley, actually. Okay, I think I'm just filling in space with something. Pick a little something not as prominent. Timid noise. What do you have here? Oh yeah, that's that kind of aggressive. Not going aggressive today. Not at all. One shots. Where are we at here? I used to use this one all the time, but it's a little too processed for this track. Yeah, actually, I have recorded a lot of stuff that's kind of randomly spread around my computer. But one of the things I do is I usually, I can't do it right now because my turntable's broken, but I usually sample my own record collection, which is over here in this, sorry, there you go, over here in this cupboard right there. My dad and I share a record collection. And whenever I do any of my disco house, I usually will either sample it myself to an MP3 and then put it in here to start cutting it up and chopping it up, or I'll just directly sample it into FL Studio. And yeah, and then I do some stuff. I actually had I don't know if it's still on this on my computer here, but I did a bunch of I took my phone and recorded a bunch of storms and stuff when it was raining pretty hard. And actually, I think last year we got some rain from a hurricane, and I just stuck my phone out my door, and I got all sorts of good rain sounds I layer in the background of some tracks. Oh, here they are, field recordings. Yeah. So that's rain, and then I went on a walk like 2 years ago and recorded some stuff, and I just chop it up sometimes. But one of the, I guess not, I wouldn't call it a problem, but one of the things I deal with is my studio room is basically a spare room in my house. It's not treated or anything. I don't have any special, anything like that. So when I record, I usually have to do a lot of editing to make it sound okay. And so when I don't do as much as I used to. If I had a better treated room, I probably would record all sorts of stuff. And actually, to this mic I'm using, I didn't have it until about a year and a half ago. I bought it on Amazon on Black Friday randomly. And because before that, I had a really cheap mic I got when I used to do a bunch of, when I was in college, I used to do a whole bunch of parties. And like I would I had this really cheap mic because I knew people were going to, spill drinks on it and throw it or whatever for, frat parties, college kids. So I was like, let me buy a $10 mic from Guitar Center. And that was all I used for a while for mic wise. So I didn't ever try to record anything. But this one is the newer NW800. It's a little, I think they have a newer model now, but at the time when I got it, it was like, I think it was like $60 normally, and I got it for 15 in taxes, which is, for me, that was a steal. I was like, this is a pretty quality mic, and I can go pretty much XLR with it, and it came with a stand too. So I was like, yeah, let me grab this one. But my studio is very, I wouldn't say bare bones, but it's, I don't have a lot of gear or anything. I have like one MIDI keyboard that I got when I first started. It's a M Audio Oxygen, the 49 key keyboard. Um, and I actually don't have any table space for it right now, or else it would be out. And then I'm using the same monitors I got. I got those monitors, I think, in 2014 or in 2013. I'm using the same one still. I'm using these headphones, these Ultrason Q Pros, the Pro 750s. I got these a little while ago. Um, Basically, my whole studio is old. Besides like my samples and stuff I find online, and my synths. I got Silent One, and I keep that updated, or at least I try to. Um, let's see, what other synths do I usually use? I use VK Viking, which is a freeware synth you can get from their website for free, or on what's that old forum? I think it's KVR, the audio forum. I believe they have a download link for it as well. Um, Here's Silent One. I bought this one a while ago. I actually got it when I was in school, I think. I use a lot of freeware and not a lot of Native FL Studio, but I use enough Native FL Studio to kind of make that claim. I mean, I use Patcher. I use I actually own Gross Beat, and I believe I own Harmor. I might own Harmor. I use FL Keys sometimes when I'm doing keyboard stuff. What else do I use? Your 3X oscillator I use a lot. I don't have Citrus anymore. Or I never had. I had a trial version that I used for a while, but I like Citrus. I just don't. I haven't bought it yet. I'm probably gonna get that soon. The thing is that everything I want to do in Citrus, I do in VK Viking or one of my other synths. So I'm like, well, when I need it, I need it. Um, when it comes to freeware, I use a lot of. Can I pull up my plugin picker and you guys see it? Oh no, y'all can't see it on stream. All right. I use Forefront Piano. It's a freeware piano, which is pretty nice. I mean, it gets the job done. I don't use it a lot for actual sounds, but I use it for like when I want to figure chords out and stuff, I'll pull that out. Alien Space Weaver, the free version. I honestly am still trying to figure this one out. It's very, very interesting. It does like all sorts of space and like sci-fi textures. And it's got, for freeware, it's got a mountain of presets. It's got like 3 columns of it on here. But sometimes I'll play around with that just to figure it out, or I'll use a preset just as like a space filler. You can do some weird stuff with that one. um, let's see, what else do I use a lot? Okay. I don't use Charlatan as much as usual because I have, obviously, if you guys can see on here, it has problems with the UI, but the sound is okay. Let's see, Cygnus is another one that does. This is a free version of Cygnus. It does kind of spacey sci-fi tones and pads and atmospheres. This is another one that I mess around with a little bit, but it's kind of, I haven't really done my due diligence to really sit down and figure it out. I usually just use it when I'm looking for quick fixes with a quick preset just to fill space to figure it out. Because that's one thing too is like I'll take a maybe one day instead of working on a track, I'll take a synth, I'll pull it out, pick a preset, and then I'll just start messing around and start trying to figure out. Unless I can find a manual. If I find a manual online, that's the first thing I do because you can read a manual and some of those manuals will literally tell you like turn this dial and this dial and this knob and you'll get this sound, and it literally will spell it out for you. So, and if you don't find a manual, check YouTube because there are a lot of people. Sometimes even the people who create it, instead of putting out a text manual, they just make a YouTube video, like 20, 30 minutes of them just making sounds and explaining the synth, and it's pretty awesome. FB 3300, or it's a polyphonic synth. I use this one a little bit. You get some cool stuff here. Let's see. So it's using this signal right here. I use this one a tiny bit here and there when I'm going for a specific sound. OBX. This is another one that is very, very kind of 80s old school, like Blade Runner, and it's very good. It has a lot of. Let me see if I can get something going here. Okay, where are we at here? Oh, that's right. I forgot. It's using Fruity Wrapper, so I gotta make sure I click the top in order to get. Turn the sync on. And you can get some crazy sounds here with the oscillators. Let me turn this down. Turn the detune down. Actually, no, let's turn it up. And turn up the LFO. And see, it can do some kind of crazy stuff. It's pretty nice. It's a freeware as well. I use a lot of freeware, as you can't tell. There are a lot of free synths that can sound just one. In my opinion, they're just as good as the paid stuff. Polygas. This one is all about textures and pads and all sorts of just very like kind of like that old school Vangelis pad, like makes you feel like you're in a knockoff Blade Runner, which is pretty fun. Let's see. I don't use Beatmap a lot. I don't know why I just opened that. I'm kind of misclicking a lot today. And then I had a free version of Zebra 2, and it's basically a demo version, so you have to get a license. And I like Zebra 2. I just haven't got my license yet. I'll probably get one of those as well. One of the things that I've been thinking about is moving into more hardware. Even though I don't really have the space for it, I really have the itch to start buying some mixing boards and synths and have it right in front of me, and playing the keys and stuff like that more than I do with just my MIDI keyboard. And then using FL Studio, I actually have been researching how to do that just so that when I do make the plunge, you go into your MIDI settings and options, and you can just route audio straight. You can either route audio in using MIDI, or you can route your MIDI from FL out to the synth, play around with it, and then send it back. Like there's a couple of different ways to do it. So I'm just trying to figure out which way I want to go. But one of the things I'm looking at is the Korg Volca. The keys is the one I want, I think. Yeah, the Korg Volca keys. It's a kind of like a cool mini synth. Um, it's very powerful. There's a really awesome demo on their YouTube page channel from Korg that you should check out if you're interested in learning about that synth. And it's only like it's actually like last time I looked, it's like $150, and it looks pretty cool. You can even do looping on there, so you can do I think up to 16 or 16 bar whatever loops. So you have a nice little it has a nice little function set for $100 basically. Oh no, I'm out of kombucha. All right. I went into a tangent about my synthesizers and stuff. That was unplanned, but it was fun. It's fun, kind of talking about some of that sometimes, and not just sitting up working 24/7. Dark Engine. And then when it comes to sound packs and stuff, you can find sound packs from producers and sound engineers and stuff that just they'll give out lots of free ones, or sign up for an email, give them your email, and then they send you one. Like, there's a ton of really high quality awesome ones. Foley loops, mangled audio, warehouse samples, where the guy, he went into a warehouse and recorded a whole bunch of stuff, like the hydraulic lift on a machine, all sorts of stuff. Yeah, so it's pretty cool. Oh, my favorite sound pack. Well, there's a couple, and you guys are gonna laugh at me, but the first one is, I still to this day I use the Vengeance Minimal House Pack. That pack has so many like essential percussion hits, and like hi hats, and kick drums, snares, and claps. Like when I'm layering kicks, I'll just start with a kick from there. So I use that a lot. The next one I use a lot is actually a freeware. It was from Matt Lange, his ISO Rhythm. He gave out a pack of kicks for Christmas like 6 years ago. And the kicks in it are so good. I still use those as well to layer and just to mess around with. Actually, I think, am I using one of those kicks on this track? Yeah, I'm using one of those kicks on this track right now. Um, and then another one that's real good is the Control Samples from the Helvetic Nerds. That is the same like producer crew. I guess they're all friends, but the same producer group of like Dinka and EDX and all them. Um, uh, he put out a sample pack a couple years ago, and it's got a lot of good stuff on there. It's got some good one shots too, especially when it comes to the under drums, like the top kicks, and some good noises, some good field shots. And then there's actually some really good stabs in here. I just don't use them as much, as I like making my stabs on my own. But these are really good. Like these two organ stabs in the reverse I really like. And you could use these in almost any genre. You can go from like old school, classic house, and to acid house, to progressive house, to trance with some of these stabs. And like, yeah. So the Control Helvetic Nerds sample pack is good. Um, I mean, there's also a lot of other ones that are good that I use sometimes, or that I've gotten for free that I use. They're like freeware versions when they do like giveaways and stuff. Um, Loop Masters has some good stuff. They actually have a demo set that Sebastian Leisure did that is really has some really good stuff in it. Let me see if I can pull it up real quick. I don't know why I have so many. It's got so many folders on. I need to go out and fix that. But let's see. And it's like some loops that he processed, and then just really snappy, very well processed percussion. So that one's pretty good. Music Radar, they're a website. I think they're still around. They used to give out free sample packs all the time, and you could download them for free with no email or anything. Just go to the website and get them. And they had all sorts of crazy stuff. Like this one was sampled from 1950s sci-fi radio and stuff like that. So those ones are good because you can get some very out there samples. Um, and then another pro tip is go to archive.org, I think it is, the web archive, and you can actually go and get like download old radio programs that are fair use, and you can sample those. You can get all sorts of old recordings and stuff that they put out in the public sphere. That's pretty awesome too. So yeah, those are the ones I use a lot of. Then I have a couple of people that were fans of producers. Like I have a Neptune's drum kit where somebody went and tried to basically sample all the Neptune's drums and all their stuff. Let me see if I can. Like that's a kick from their song what they did with Britney Spears back in the day. And then y'all remember that from Can't Deny It, Pastor Cavassier. That's NERD. I mean, there's just all sorts of stuff that they. Now, the problem with these sample packs from like these producers, unless they're sending them to you, you can't really use these technically in a track. So I really just got these for fun so I can mess around in my practice sessions and see if I can recreate the Neptune's songs. But like, yeah, there's a lot of good stuff on here. Um, let's see. I also had a pack from somebody who compiled a bunch of classic drum and bass. Here it is. A bunch of classic drum and bass loops and breaks. And it's like, yeah, there's lots of really good stuff in there. And then another one, before I forget, another pack that's really good is from J-Tech. J-Tech gave this pack out years ago called Scapes Volume 1, and I use this a lot too. It's got a lot of loops and textures and a lot of really good stuff on here. And if you know J-Tech, you know his music is super high quality, so it sounds just as good as his stuff. So I use that one a lot. Vintage Drum Machine, I found this online, and basically with this one, somebody took a whole bunch of old school drum machines like the Ace Tone Rhythm Ace, the Boss DR202, Casio RZ1, the let's see, Kawai K3's in here, the Korg KPR, like all sorts of classic drum machines, and they just pulled all the samples from them and put them into a downloadable pack. The Roland CR78. Some of these you can't even find. Like, I mean, you have to find the machines at like thrift stores and pawn shops now. They're not in circulation. There's even the 808 and 809s from Roland. But basically, it was like their project was to find all these old school drum machines and then basically pull those sounds and sample them to make almost like a list of all of the quintessential drum machines. And then it was one of the producer forums I found it in or something. Um, I can't remember. It might have been on Reddit, one of those, but I got that a while ago. I mean, the Yamaha CS6 is in here. And so I don't use those as much, but I just like to have them and listen to them and, you know, check them out because those drum machines are legendary. I'd love to actually have the drum machine, but so the pack for the drums was called Vintage Drum Machine Compilation. That was the only name. There's no person associated with it. I think if you Google that, you might find it. Yeah, if you do, let me know because I want to see if they added anything to it. I might actually Google that later. See too. I think that's about all the ones I use right now. A lot. I have way more than that, but those are the ones I kind of use a lot.
My style.
Oh, this Kung Fu one I can't remember where I found, but
Once more. But your style is no.
it's got some cool sound effects and some cool vocals. And it's so that one's kind of fun. Yeah, but let's see. I think that is those are the ones I use a lot. Oh, and then I have quite a lot of acapellas. Well, not quite a lot, but I have some acapellas I've downloaded over the years that have been given away by producers.
I wanna see your body work. Housework.
So that's Tommy Sunshine. I got some BT.
I know how you.
Let's see who else gave out some. Calvin Harris did a remix contest years ago on Beatport, and I joined it and downloaded the stems. And I never made a mix, but I have all the.
I'm coming round and now my vision is so clear.
That's old school Calvin Harris. Let's see. Gabriel Dresden, Morgan Page.
Giddy up and go.
I think everyone has that acapella because he did a contest or something. I can't remember. Then I've got some random K-pop and J-pop.
せーのでもそんなんじゃダメもうそんなんじゃほら
I almost did a remix of that song. I got a couple rap acapellas too. And some K-pop. I don't know if that one's gonna play. I think there's a little delay. Diplo. So yeah, I've got a couple of acapellas here and there. I don't do as much bootlegging and remixing as I used to. I still like to do it, but for me, there's always that threat of getting sued. And I'm just like, I can't afford a lawsuit, so I'll just make my own stuff. But when I was coming up, it did help me kind of use that for reference and kind of listen to how they're doing things and try to recreate it and then try and put my own spin on it. Okay, let me save this before I forget. So, oh wow, I've been streaming for almost 2 hours. Let me I'm gonna switch over to this other project real quick and see where I'm at on this one. Set my delay. Calculator. So let's see. Also for everybody watching right now, I added some stuff to the channel. I added channel points, and I'm probably gonna get Streamlabs figured out so I can start having some alerts and stuff, and try to level up my streaming a little bit, make it a little more interactive for y'all while you're hanging out. So I appreciate y'all being here and hanging out. This is kind of an impromptu stream. I don't have a set schedule right now. I'm kind of just whenever I have free time and I can get on here for long enough to stream. I don't want to stream for 5 minutes and then get off. You guys would kind of be like, that's whack. So yeah, I appreciate y'all spending a Saturday night with me. Okay, so this is a track from last stream that started a while ago and kind of a more deeper sound here. I actually have worked. Before I did, I actually have worked on this off stream, so it might sound a little different, but I did the mid-side EQ. I think I need to turn that down a little bit, actually. Oh, actually, let me see here. It might have. I believe my Nightbot might have blocked um the link from posting. Let me see here. Can I turn him off that chat thing? Yeah, I'm gonna send you a whisper real quick, Magic. All right, we'll see if I'll check that and see. We jump back up to the break. All right, so Magic, I'm taking a look at this. So this is an Ableton drum rack, but it's not showing what, unless it's in the video, it's not showing what actual drum machines are in here. Let me go to their SoundCloud and see. They listed it on the preview track. Vintage drum bet. Here it is. Find. Okay. Give your beat some lo-fi grit with Unit Vintage Drum Sample Collection by Loop Colds. You'll find highly usable selection of dirty snares and rim shots, dusty kicks, and hi-hats, giving off a vintage vibe. Let me see. Comp. Okay, I think I found it for Magic. Yes, I did find it. All right. So I'm gonna go ahead and I got it from Fact Magazine. I think this is the right one. TR-808 Korg Mini Pops. Is this the right one? Let me check before I send it to you. Oh, okay. So this one's a Contact library. I don't have Contact, but if you have Contact, which is I think you can get Contact a free version. This library is free. I'll send this one to you. But it has the TR-808. It has the Mini Pops from Korg, the Cheetah Spec drum. Got a whole bunch on here. I'm going to drop the link real quick to you in this whisper. Here we go. Yeah, okay. Is it on Sample Radar? Okay, sorry. Oh, I'm on Music Radar. So that one might work if you use Contact. If not, here's another one on Music Radar. I believe it's not all of the drum machines, but it's got the Soundmaster SR88 and the Casio MT40. I'll drop that one here for you too. If anybody else in the chat wants these, I can drop them in the chat. Just let me know. But yeah, those are a couple options for you. Up. Yes, sir, I am. You're welcome, man. No problem at all. All right. This is kind of where I wanted to sit. Turn the reverb down. All right. Let's see. That's sounding right. So I can't wait till this one gets mastered, and because it's really sitting kind of where I want it right now. Um, so one of the things, oh, it does lead to updated version 2. Okay, that's probably the one I need to get then. I believe. Let me see. Oh, that's yeah on the contact library. So I think the one I have is actually the Music Radar one or a similar one. Because I think I have more than 275 samples in the one I have, but it's almost I think it's the same drum machines. Let me see here. Yeah, because I've got all the Akai's, the XE8, XR10s, Alesis ones. Yeah, and I even got Oberheim's on here, which is the DM and DX and the DMX. So I think those are. I think it's probably a mixture of those two, but I cannot remember where I found this one. I've been meaning to download Contact because I have a couple of free libraries that they put out. Because I sometimes use Tractor. I still use it often, but I haven't used it in a while. But I still, I get the updates and stuff. I have a amazing horror story chat about Tractor that one day I'll share with everyone. But I had a big problem during a huge gig, so yeah. But I mean, it's still not bad. I still like Tractor. I just kind of want to move to Pioneer, so I think that's one of the things I'm saving up for is getting one of the Pioneer controllers, just so I can jump into a record box and then be able to, you know, slide into CDJs a lot easier when I do play on them. So yeah, that's oh man. I mean, I love Tracker. Don't get me wrong, but I definitely have a couple of horror stories. It's probably because I'm using an old version of Tractor, but I don't even sell the version of Tractor I'm using anymore. I don't think. Oh, I was using TDR Nova on this, wasn't I? So, okay, I will tell you about TDR Nova. I love this synth, but I've been having latency issues lately. So, one of the things I had to do was, if anybody who uses FL Studio, if you don't know this, I learned this through a YouTube video last week after going for like 9 years. Let me see if I can find an example. So, Fruity Limiter, when you use the limiter in the compressor, the limiter is always technically active even when you're not limiting, like right now. But because of that, the attack on here, whenever you use limiter attack, it is always going to add latency because it's got to be able to predict where the peak's going to be ahead of time, I guess is the official wording for it. So I'm sitting here trying to figure out why every single plugin on my mixer channel has latency on here and it's showing plugin delay, and it's because every time I've used Fruity Limiter to sidechain, it is the limiter's attacks on. See when okay, so see down here on this or over here where it says none, whenever you turn that compressor attack up, all of a sudden it highlights on, meaning you have some latency coming. So yeah, I had no clue. I had been using this route for a decade and did not know that the limiter was throwing latency on here. So, but TDR Nova unfortunately has the same issue whenever I have it turned on. I have latency. I haven't figured out why, where it's coming from, and how to turn it off yet. But on some sense, I still use it. And it's partly I'm babying my computer because it's so old. I don't want to push it harder than I have to. But Plumas, you giving me the tear faces. I know, man. It's sad. It's very sad. But you know what? I'm gonna hold on one second. I'm gonna hit you back. I'm gonna hit you back with this, man. Right here. Oh, that's right. I just canceled out your tear faces, bro. It's good to see you, by the way. I must have forgot to do this on this track. Cheers, my bro. But yeah, so I'm getting a little latency here and there, so I had to go through to a lot of my older mixes and stuff and just turn off that limiter attack. Which it's very weird. Well, not weird, but it's very interesting because when you use the attack on the compressor setting of Fruity Limiter, there's no latency at all because it's doing that at real time. It's not trying to be predictive at all. That's just how I am envisioning my response to it, or my reasoning is that the limiter is using predictive attack ADSR and the compressor is doing real time, so it doesn't need to use processing power to look ahead. But it could just be something built into FL Studio. But yeah, I mean, I haven't had super bad latency issues, but on bigger projects where I'm using a lot of automation and stuff like this, sometimes my CPU can crank up a little bit. So I'm like, all right, let me be mindful now of the load I'm putting on my computer. Because I'm using I got this in 2012, 2013, an Intel i5 that I built. So it's like, it's not very recent. I believe it's a 4-core, but I'd have to look and see at my specs. But yeah, it's one of those things where I'm like, okay, let me just do this real quick. And, you learn something new every day. So I'm hearing a little bit of crackling and a little bit of issues, but not too bad. Yeah. I could probably solve some of that by freezing this audio. This one might have a little too much automation. The audio's not sounding clear. Or my computer's probably like, you've been streaming for 2 hours on software encoding. Give me a break. But we'll never know, right? I mean, one day. This is a point where in like this track, I don't really feel like there's a lot else I want to do to it, to be honest. The mix is kind of where I want it. All the elements are right. I mean, I just would need to render it out and hear it, which I actually did that last week, and then listen to it after I get it mastered and see if it's really where I want it. But actually, one thing I could do is I could give it a little test here in mono. Okay, so this is a great example, probably the best example I can give you because it actually sounds decent in mono. So listen to it in stereo here. Yes, exactly. If I do, it'll be diminishing returns, and I'm it's not like it's stuffed full of things that I need to take out. So that was in stereo. Now listen to it in mono. So yeah, you're getting almost the same feel, the same sounds. It's not as wide and spatial because it's in mono, but this track here, after it's mastered, would most likely sound pretty good on monitors and then sound good on laptop speakers. Like, it would translate well to either or. And that's really what you want to go for when you're producing, is you want to make sure that your mixes translate, because I'm going to continue to say this because I believe it's, you could have the most awesome track ever, but if somebody listens to it on laptop speakers, unfortunately, they're going to judge the track based on how it sounds there. So at least unconsciously, they will. I mean, it's just a fact. Like, you want to give your music a chance to be heard at a decent level on all different type of speakers. I mean, you should honestly make it for everything, but you have a interesting phenomenon with streaming and with everybody's consumption on mobile, that a lot of people will probably be hearing your music first over their cell phone speakers. That's just how it is, and maybe they'll put headphones in later, they'll plug it in their car or whatever, but that's where your first impression lies. So you want to at least be mindful that your mixes translate well. I mean, in that kind of vein, I look at, like, even though I don't make a lot of hip hop or anything anymore, I look at all those producers in hip hop and engineers that make us. You can tell, like, a track will smack, the 808s will smack you in the face on a monitor when you're in the studio, but then they'll also smack you in the face when you're, listening on your phone. Like, it'll drown everything else out, but at least, like, you know what I mean? Like, it's kind of, you definitely have to be mindful of that when you're mixing. And I think in a lot of my older tracks, I wasn't really mindful of how it sounded in mono. I just kind of mixed it in stereo, and if it sounded good, I let it go. And so I'm really, the past year and a half, I've been trying to introduce that referencing in mono into my mix process. That way I can, be more mindful of it. Because, yeah, I mean, honestly, it's all about getting better mixes and making better music. And I think the whole process of everything is a kind of how it goes, per se, if that makes sense. Yeah, sorry, I'm rambling about stuff, but it's fun. Sorry, I'm enjoying talking about my concepts and, like, what my mind is like. It's very, very therapeutic sometimes, because I think I'm going crazy doing this. Yeah, I think it's no apologies allowed. Oh. All right, man. That's, I'll give you that. I gotta own it, right? Okay, let me listen to this here. So this is just a straight up ARP. It's called Moon Hunter, and all I did was I played with the cutoff and the ADSR of the amp, and I changed up the LFO. Like, sometimes there will be a sound you don't really have to tweak it too much, and it'll work in your track. It'll sound good, so you can just go with it. This thing is a little interesting. I've been using this in a lot of tracks, but I changed it up. I actually added a white noise layer just to kind of spice it up a little bit, give it a little brightness on the top. So then, just to kind of let y'all get a little taste of what the mid-side stereo EQ mono. Sorry, I had an itch on my. Oh, I just apologize again. Dang it, man. Plumas is gonna get me. All right, so this is just the mid. All right, this is the stereo or the side EQ. Is there a little phasing in there? No, it's not that bad. Okay. I mean, actually, I think it's more latency than phasing. Yeah, that's what it is. It was just a little latency. But that's basically when you separate out that signal, it really gives you. Right now, I think I have my stereo side, my side is at a 250 shelf hertz. So basically, I'm cutting out everything under 250 hertz. I've got a slight notch up at about 4,500, and then at around 8,000, I have a it'd be like a high shelf. I'm boosting it by like a decibel. And then on my mid, I'm just cutting out everything under 30 hertz. And I have a couple notch cuts, tiny, like 1, 2. Well, this one's more like a 2.5, 3 decibel cut, but just some harsh frequencies I don't like. So I'm getting rid of them. And then I've got span on here. You know what? It might be span giving me a little extra latency. Yeah. See, that's sometimes you'll figure out where your latency is. Is sometimes it's your monitoring plugins and stuff. Yeah, wow. My CPU went down from 65 to is sitting around 48 to 50. So, and that's with streaming as well. So, I'll just turn span off for a little bit. You know, I could do automation on that pad. So for me on this track, when I would feel like it's finished, where I think it's close here. There's a couple things I would do to really get it kind of set up and going. Sorry, I had to check my OBS real quick, make sure everything was looking all right. So first of all, is that I would do any kind of final mix down. Which right now I think it's good where I want it. The second thing I would do is I would go to my master chain, and sometimes I forget to do this, but anything that is a referencing or a side plugin, you know, like if I have Wave Candy or something on here or Span, I make sure I take it off and then I save it. So it's got a basically, you know, besides anything like my mid-side EQ, it has a dry or a clear master chain. I personally don't compress a lot on my master or do any kind of pre-mastering stuff. I'll do some EQ generally, like maybe I'll throw in a parametric EQ2 on the master chain and do a slight, you know, notch here at the low frequencies or a slight cut or whatever. But I'm not. Some people will like crank up the compressor or whatever and over compress the master, and then the mastering engineer gets it and he can't do anything else because you've already taken away all the headroom. I mean, a good mastering engineer. See if I can make a visual. This. Okay, so you got 0 here. My track is hitting. Let me get to where everything's going. I mean, this is like 8, 9 decibels of headroom that the mastering engineer has to really fill out the sound. Like, if you're not giving at least 3 decibels of headroom to your mastering engineer, like, you are not mixing, in my opinion, you're not mixing right. You don't have to do a whole bunch of limiting. You don't have to do a whole bunch of stuff. You can, but it's not necessary. I mean, I didn't start doing mid-side EQ on my masters and on my master chain until recently. So, my screen just went all crazy. There we go. Okay. I was like, what happened to my FL Studio? But yeah, you don't have to do any kind of pre-master processing if you don't want to. I mean, you could slap a general EQ on there if you wanted to do some type of pre-master boost and stuff, but you don't have to. Like, turn on punchy mix or whatever, but I don't. I'm Part of the reason is that I don't master my own tracks unless it's like something I'm giving away for free and I don't want to pay for mastering, even though my mastering engineer gives me a nice deal. um I don't have, in my opinion, I don't think I have the room treated right or the right setup to do mastering on my own. Like, I have Ozone that I use sometimes. I think I still have it. Yeah, I've got Ozone Elements 8, which is fine. I mean, it is very CPU intensive though. I'll say that, but it's good. The imager's good. And so here's another thing. If you're having problems on your CPU load when you're trying to use these type of more demanding monitoring plugins, all you have to do is save it and render it as a wave, and then start a new instance of FL Studio. Like, just go and start a new project and open it up as an audio clip, and then use that imaging plugin. Here, actually, I'll do it right now. Do I have it on this? Let's see. Do I have it on here? Yeah, I do. Okay. So I'll show you guys right now what I would do if. So I go to minimal, start a new project here. So all you gotta do is this. Click the plus here on your plugin picker and go to audio clip. Hit the file folder and then find your audio. And then you can drop it into your playlist. I rendered it a couple days ago, so it's gonna sound a little different. And then all you do is you open up Ozone. And now, see, look at my CPU is at 4, 5. And you can see everything in your track without having the CPU load. You can look at your equalizing, all that. If you want to master on your own. And see, you can stereoize it here. Make it mono. Make it super stereo. You can do everything you could do normally, but you just don't have the CPU load. Now, would I do this to this audio file? No, I probably would go back into the project afterwards, and I'd maybe save whatever settings I come up with here as a preset. And then I'd be like, all right, now I'm going to go ahead and open it up and open this preset up, and then maybe listen to it for a little bit and then go straight into rendering. Another thing is I probably wouldn't do it when my computer's streaming, because that is obviously taking resources away. One thing you want to do when you render out your finished final projects is you want to make sure that your computer is not using anything or not doing anything else besides FL Studio or Ableton or whatever. You don't want to have any tabs open taking up processing power and memory. You want to have everything going to your computer. That way you can make sure that you're ensuring the best audio quality, and it's not going to take all day, depending on how big your projects are. But yeah, so you can kind of see where your track is sitting. You can check out the different waveforms here. See, this actually looks pretty good. Then you have your peak and your RMS meter. I believe, I might be wrong. Actually, let me look at the tooltip. You can actually swap left and right channels on Ozone 8, which is nice. To check for any kind of phase or anything like that. So yeah, you can do a lot of stuff with Ozone 8 if you want to master your own stuff on your own. But let me go back. Let me not save this. Let me go back to what I was working on or looking at. But yeah, I definitely would not. Another thing too is that I actually did this back in the day when I first started producing because I was on a really cheap laptop. If your projects get too crazy and your computer can't handle it, just freeze your tracks into audio. Like freezing your tracks into audio is perfectly fine. And not only will you be able to still work on things, you'll just then if you have to change it, you just go back and delete the freeze, go back, change what you need to change on the synth. And then, hey, how you doing? Big D63, what's up, man? How you doing? But once you get done with that, yeah, you're pretty much you refreeze it again and you just keep going with it. And that's one way that if you're having problems dealing with processing power or any kind of latency, just go ahead and give it a freeze. Oh, I'm doing well as well, just hanging out in the studio, kind of talking shop with everybody. Thank you for joining us today or tonight. Really appreciate it. But yeah, so okay, this one's pretty much done. I think one of the things I want to do here next. Yeah, see, I turned span off and my CPU's back to manageable levels. Yeah, okay, so I think that one is pretty much where I want it to be. So what I would do here is I'll just go through, I would take out all these plugins that would take up space and not really do anything. I would probably give it another listen too. Let me save real quick. So rendering settings. I don't know if you can see the render box. You might not be able to, but I'll go ahead and just pull it up and talk real quick, pretend like I'm rendering. So on my render settings, I usually render out, and when I'm sending out my final pre-master to my mastering engineer, I'll do a 16-bit wave file. And then when I'm doing MP3 renders for fun, I'll do 320 kilobyte per second. My resampling quality is at 512. I put it on the highest one. I let it take as long as it needs to, and I turn dithering off because I don't want it on. Basically what dithering does, let me pull up the legitimate FL Studio so I don't mess up the description, but let's see here. Dithering, basically, according to science, it's basically dealing with quantization errors. So it basically randomizes everything, but on here, I've noticed that when I use dithering, it kind of makes the sound quality drop a bit. It might just be me being overly obsessive, but I think it has a slight delay issue. So I just turn it off. I don't do anything else crazy, and I don't do background rendering. I just let it render full on, and I just walk away from the computer for however long it takes. Usually, on my biggest projects, it'll maybe take like 5 minutes, 6 minutes. Not too much. Um, Not too crazy. Some people will render a track like freaking 800 tracks on there, and it'll take an hour. Yes, Big D. It's dithering is very confusing because it's very much in the processing of the signals and the way. I believe it's the way that the signals are processed, and whether there's PDC in FL Studio, it's plug and delay compensation. It basically, I think it standardizes that, but I don't know. It's very confusing, and I've noticed that it just doesn't really do what I want it to do, so I turn it off. Like, yeah, I don't know. I don't really get into the weeds on a lot of the super crazy processing stuff because I'm not as knowledgeable. Like, I need to sit down and read more books on it and stuff. I only have a working knowledge to be able to make songs, but yeah, and see, that's the thing too. It's like, oh, when you get into it, does slightly. I think it does have something to do with that too. It's very FL Studio used to have a great explanation of it, but I can't find it anymore. Let's see. Okay, here's what it does. Okay. So it randomizes noise at the bottom of your track when you go from 32-bit into 24 16-bit. So I'm like, I don't bother with dithering at all. I let it just do its thing. But then, okay, there's another reason why I don't use it a lot is because I don't go from 32 to 16, or I usually stay in whatever bit depth, wave depth that I'm starting. I don't really like, if I do that, I'll do it on another project, convert it over, and then drop it into my main project. I know it's a little convoluted, but yeah, it's what I do. I'm a creature of habit at things, so yeah. So this one I think is done. I don't know. I don't think I need to mess with it on stream right now. I like where it is. I'm gonna render it out probably when I get off stream tonight or tomorrow, and then decide what I'm gonna do with it. Um, Let me save this here real quick. And because a big thing with me is the release strategy and getting things out there. I have an abundance mindset, so I think that if you have a decent plan, you can find an audience for your track. You just have to have a plan. I think can't just expect to put stuff out there and then all of a sudden have a bunch of people listen to it. I mean, you maybe 0.1% of people, or 0.01% that'll happen, and you'll get lucky. But even then, they probably had a plan and just got super lucky. So yeah, so this is another older track here that I'm basically done with, I think. Let's see here. I wonder if I could get Wave Candy working. Yeah. Pull it up. So I've been making music since 2009, and I've released my first track in I believe it was 2012, It was a track on a compilation of this one label, Elliptical Sun Melodies. It was a spin-off of a trance label that focused on progressive house. And then I've been releasing, not I don't release as frequent as I probably should, but I've been releasing pretty much a couple tracks a year since then. This year is probably going to be my biggest year release wise, because besides the whole pandemic, I have a kind of pushing everything back. I have 1, 2, 3 EPs that'll be coming out this year. So far, I have a couple of free downloads that'll be coming out this year, and then I have other stuff I'm working on. So yeah, it is. It's very, very cool. I finally kind of got in a nice little a groove, I guess you could say. But yeah, like this track, I don't know what I'm gonna do with it yet. I'm still trying to figure everything out. So this one is very, very stripped down, very atmospheric. It's very about kind of that groove and just kind of those textures kind of layering on top of each other. It's not very complicated. I mean, it's got just standard kick and drums. Bass line is super simple. Now, the pad is something I had fun with doing. I was messing around with sustained chords. So it's literally the same chord, except for one's a root chord and one's a sustained chord. And so it gives you that slight feeling of it's moving and that it's changing, but it's really not. So yeah, I really like that, because then you don't have to worry about going too far out of key or messing around, but you can still get a feeling of movement and this feeling, slight feeling of variation. And then this little kind of clicky. Oh, yeah, thank you. Yes, I know. I like how it sounds too. It kind of, I love that feeling of movement. I've got this little clicky percussion here. Got some sonar. This is stuff I fall back to a lot. Just kind of filling in space. And then this is actually from that JTech sample pack I was talking about earlier that I bought, or that I got. And I just chopped it up a little bit and I put some delay and reverb on it and made like a little tonal texture to kind of go throughout the whole thing. And then honestly, that's really all the patterns that are going on here. And then the breakdown is very, very kind of muted. Yep, it is a lot of restraint. I basically was trying to play around with this theme in my head. So this track is, I made the backstory of it is basically like somebody who's, this is gonna sound really messed up, but it's like somebody who was maybe on a spaceship and they got thrown, overboard and they're adrift and they're just kind of floating around in space and it's like, oh crap, I'm just kind of just going and tumbling around. And I was like, how could I get that feeling into a track? Almost like a, oh no, and then it's like, but it's still, you're like, your heart's beating real fast and you're very yeah, exactly, just flow, and then you're freaking out inside. You're like, oh man, what's going on? But it's kind of that slow dulling of the crap. This is happening, and I was like, yeah, let me do that, and this is what I came up with, and I wanted to get kind of deep like I did on my track last year that I had some success with called Deadbolt, and I kind of wanted to follow that up, but I wanted to make it a little bit different. So, and that's what led to this track. So, I got into basically deep. Well, I started off with classic house and trance and progressive house, and then I kind of moved more towards progressive house and melodic prog and deep house, and that's kind of where I'm sitting now in between those few. But actually, I got started with electronic music back in it's my sophomore and junior years of high school. I actually got into it and I met one of my best friends because my best friend, he had the mix of Kanye West, Jay Dilla, Daft Punk, and Above and Beyond on his iPod Mini, and we were at a track meet. And I hadn't really talked to him that much in school, and I sat down next to him. We were talking, and I was like, "Let me hear what you listen to." And I started looking at his iPod Mini, and I was like, "Bro, we got to be friends." and and that was a wrap on that. And I was like, "All right, we got to be friends after that." So yeah, I got started in high school listening to electronic music, and then I kind of explored and branched out from there. I listened to a lot of different stuff like drum and bass and stuff like that. I don't make a lot of drum and bass, but I enjoy listen to it, going to some shows here and there, and then obviously trance house, progressive, deep house, tech house, um, techno every once in a while. Like I'm not a super, I mean I am a big techno head, but I don't go to a lot of techno shows. Like I'll go to see Nicole Mudaber and Carl Cox and some of like the bigger ones, and a few of the local people here towards me. I go to see them as well, but yeah, I'm more of a house head than I am a techno head. So. And so on this verse here, I create variation just by using what was already in the track and just, I'll show you right here, but just bringing that sample back in creates some variation for the rest of that verse. I kind of want to stick a automation clip in here. Maybe, let's see. Let me go to my automation clips. Where you at? This one. Thank you. I appreciate that. I wanted it to be very smooth and very kind of just ethereal and spacey in a way. So yeah, it sounds. Yeah, okay, that works. All right. So actually, let me save this before I forget it and close it. All right. And so actually, this is the radio mix, and then I have an extended mix too that I'll pop up, and it's got an extra verse in here. Same track, just the build up and breakdowns a little bit extended, you know, for the DJs, and there's an extra verse in there. So yeah, it's the extended mix, and then you know your EP has 2 tracks already, which are quality. One is a radio mix so that people can get in and out of it quickly, and then one's an extended mix for DJs or for people who want to listen to the whole journey. And I just use the arrangements on FL Studio, the playlist view. The arrangement feature is awesome. They added that in, I believe, FL Studio 10 or 11, and I didn't really use it as first because I was like, oh, I don't need a lot of multiple arrangements. You know, that was years ago. Now I use it on every track I make. It's awesome. Yeah, I like it a lot. You can basically copy or clone your current arrangement and then just start editing it, change the name. You have a whole new version of the track made. So it's nice. Yeah, so it's pretty awesome. I like it a lot. I'm trying to think, is there anything crazy on here? This one's pretty much done too, so it's not much to really go through. I'm trying to think, do I have a track that's not done right now that's good enough to show? Let's see. So yeah, actually this can be shown. Okay, let me get rid of that. So this is slightly risky because this is a song I sampled, and so I'm hoping I don't get hit on any copyright, but on the stream. But this is just me messing around. The drums are very, very unfinished. Actually, let me turn them down a little bit. Yeah, I hope not. That's a good thing then. I'm always worried about it. It's on like the back of my head. Turn that reverb down a little bit. Oh, actually it's the send. So yeah, this is just some disco. I worry some of these older records, their copyrights are very strict. Like Marvin Gaye, I'll never never sample any of his music just because like the moment you load it up into your sequencer, you're getting hit with a lawsuit. Yeah, I think that's right too. Yeah, I think if you were just playing people's music, I agree they would hit you on that. But when you're actually working with it and stuff, they probably won't ding you. But it's still kind of in the back of my mind. But I believe it was I believe he's still here. I believe it was Magic was asking me earlier in the stream, and I was talking about my sampling, and I just actually pulled this one up. This track I'm probably never gonna finish, but how I sample this one was I actually got this record and I literally sampled everything in the Edison. I don't know if you can see the Edison window. I literally sampled the whole record into Edison. And then I went ahead and I started, chopping it up into samples through Edison. But that's just one kind of way I do sampling when I go into my record collection. So then here's some of the samples I pulled out. Let me see if I can turn all this off and just have the sample. So this here. So that was one of my main samples. Let's see here. Yeah, Big D Marvin Gaye's estate's got those Marvel snipers, just like Marvel does with their movies. They always, anytime somebody tries to spoil it, the Marvel snipers come out. Marvin Gaye's got his crew too. You gave the word. You gave the word. So I've got all sorts of just clips and samples here that I pulled from that record. And then like everything kind of fits, and then I'm just doing a basic side chain. So let me pull up the side chain. So it's just a ghost kick trigger right here. So I've got my kick layer, and I'm running it into a peak controller with the mute on. And then when they hit, let me pull up here. When they hit, it sends signal to my sample channel that has a link to that kick on the compressor threshold. So it's just a standard side chain here. I could use a couple different routes to get a little more control, but I like this way. It still has a little bit of jumpiness, a little bit of pumping, but it's fine. It gives those old records, they have enough charm and they have enough artifacts on them that it's all going to kind of sound interesting when it's all pumping behind the kick. So yeah, this is an old one. I haven't really worked on the mix on this one much. But yes, FL Studio has a lot of different ways. It's actually kind of nice. The only thing it doesn't have that's a direct way is they don't have a multi-band sidechain compressor. Oh yeah, Logic, yeah, that's true, very true. Most of the multi-band sidechaining has to be done either with a third-party VST or you have to use Patcher, and it's a little complicated. I still am not the best at multi-band sidechaining with Patcher, so I don't attempt it a lot, but it's on my practice list. I kind of mess around with it. Let's see. Here's another disco flip I did. I think I can maybe find this one. Yeah, it's there's a lot of cool ways to sidechain in FL, which is nice. This is another one. Yeah, this is another one I sampled the same way. So yeah, I have a couple disco house releases like that, like sampling. It's kind of going back to my when I started making music. I was first doing hip hop for like making boom bap sampled beats and stuff, and then I was making house on the side. So it's like a good, I always come back to it with the disco ones they're my fun. Like when I just want to hang out and just play around with some records. Um, but it's like the sampling part is kind of I have I think I have two EPs that I've put out with sampled disco house ones. And I think I don't have anything. This one maybe might be a free download, but I don't have anything else that is really like, in my opinion, ready to be like out as a full release right now. So do it. Okay. I know the songs. Yeah, so oh yeah, that's right, Plumas. I got channel points on the channel now, and I also have people can sub now, and I have you can always follow as well. But yeah, dude, I got channel points, man. You can unlock emotes. I need to put more emotes up here. But oh, Big D, I appreciate the follow, man. Thank you so much. I appreciate it. I need to get all my emotes and stuff all in and all that kind of stuff. And but right now, since it's so irregular, I'm just kind of slowly figuring it out. But yeah, so that's some disco from me that I just got going on here. Let's see. Oh man, I really want to show these tracks, but I can't. I have to wait. I have to be always respect contracts you sign. So that when they say don't do anything with this until the date, that's right. Disco is back. That's right, man. So, um, do I want to show this? Uh, um, which one is this? Let's see. More disco. All right, let's see. I can't remember about this one. Oh yeah, yeah. This one's not done, but it sounds kind of cool. Fix that compressor a little bit. So this one's an older mix. I actually need to update a lot of it. But so actually this might be a good time to show something another thing with mid-side EQ that you can do. Okay, let me pull it up real quick. Shaper. Okay. Mid side. So let's see here. All right. Mid-side A splitter. Open up output 2. Send to. All right. So in theory, your sample is going to be in the mid. Let me see if I can pull this up. Yeah, so it's in the mid. So This is what it sounds like just in stereo, or the side. So what you want to do is, well, you know what I always talk about is cleaning up that low end up the stereo and giving it a slight boost in the high end and patcher. Yeah, I wish you could see the patcher window or the Sense Inside patcher right now. But let's turn back on the mid and see if we can do a little more shaping. It basically is. It's very Patcher's basically like routing stuff from one to another, and you can create surface knobs like bevels and stuff. Let me see if I can get one. You can create buttons. You can even create knobs that are linked from here, from the surface, to a synth or parameter. And you can pick which. There's a menu that just popped up. I know y'all can't see it, but I can choose which channel volume or whatever I want to be routed into here. It's pretty cool. And so it's literally like a synth within a synth. Um, so yeah, mid-side is basically, in a nutshell, your mid is all your mono signal, sort of. It's like everything you want to be in the middle of the mix. So like your bass, your lead vocal, um, any kind of lead synth that you don't want in stereo. And then your side is your stereo field and like everything that's kind of on the outside that's wide, your left and right pans and all that. I don't do a lot of specific mid-side EQing, but I put it on my master, and I do this with Patcher, because one of the biggest problems you'll have when mixing is you'll have your stereo field. Your low end on stereo will come through and throw your mix out of phase. Oh, wind rolled out. Yeah, I use it on the master mostly, or on specific instruments I want to sound either better in stereo or better in mono, either one. Um, it kind of just depends. There's no right or wrong way to use it. I like using it on the master channel just to clean up bad frequencies off of the mid and off of the stereo side as well. It just makes your mix sound a little bit cleaner especially when you sum it all to mono. The stereo stuff won't mess in the low end. It won't do any kind of phasing or artifacting, and it'll be just a little bit cleaner. But there are people that use mid-side EQing on like their 808s. They'll have the mid will have a certain frequency boosted there, and then on the side they'll cut out the low end and just have the higher octaves of the 808. So that's how all of them, those producers with the rappers, get all them big wide 808s, is they use a combination of mid-side EQ with their sample choice. But yeah, I mean, it's honestly, you can kind of go wild with whatever you want to do when it comes to mid-side EQ. So this is the stereo field. Here's with all the low end. And here's when I cut it out. And see, you can hardly hear it now because it's the filtering of the sample. But let me go to somewhere. Let's see here where I can give it better. Where are we at on the thing? There we go. Okay, so if you can hear this right here, this is with it cut. And this is the stereo with the low end back. And it's just a slightly messy down there. But when you go ahead and you cut it again, it just cleans it up on the stereo side. So then when you just do your mid, that's just, you can do all sorts of stuff with the mid. You could make it a lot, not like duller, but warmer, so you can sum the whole mix down a little bit. Or you can make it brighter on the mid. And you can play around with it. There's not really one way to do it or not. It just comes down to how your mix is shaping up and taste. But yeah, when you get everything back, oops, I gotta go back to where I was so you can hear the sample. Like the way I use it is to clean up my stereo side basically, and then to keep my mids, like to emphasize certain frequencies in the mid, and then sometimes with like my bass lines and stuff when I want them to pop a little bit in mono. Because honestly, if I listen to this track in mono right now, I do not think it would sound all that good. Oh well, actually, it's not that bad. You lose a little bit of the width, obviously, because you're summing everything down into mono. Or I always call it summing, but I guess technically you're subtracting everything into mono. But when you're back in regular stereo, you get your entire depth of field, and yeah, it's not. It's something I'm still learning, and I probably will continue to learn because I think you're always you. When you stop learning, you're no longer good, in my opinion, or decent, or you're no longer doing it well. Like you should always be learning at this. This is, I think, almost anything in life. So I usually keep my kick in mono, and then I usually let my bass lines, when I'm using a bass line, it'll either be part of it in mono or the whole thing will be in stereo, and I'll go super crazy. It just really depends on what the track is really feeling like. It's on what I decide to do. Um, I guess a good example of it is not in this song. Let me get to it real quick. Is it in retroactive frame? I think. Yeah. So, surprise, this track that I'm about to show is actually going to be a free download I'm going to put out. It's going to be a free download to everybody who signs up for my email list. I'm going to go ahead and put this one out as like a single. But on this track, I believe this is the one that I have my sub going. Is it? Oh, did I not? I thought I had a sub bass on this one. Ooh, maybe I don't. Okay, before I show you guys this one real quick. Oh man, which one is it then? Also, make sure you stay organized. If you don't learn anything else from me, keep your tracks organized. Because I'm trying to remember which one has the sub bass that I did mono on that. Let's see. Oh, and this is also officially the longest I've ever streamed. I actually am surprised I'm still hanging on here. Let's see. It wasn't this one, was it? Dang, where did that go? There's a track in here that I have a bass in stereo and mono, and I do not know where I moved it to. Awkward. Let's see here. Will he get mad if I think so? Oh, I know, man. Worst day. Worst day. I was like, yeah, I've had so many hard drive issues that I have a backup now. I basically had to make myself get one. Here we go. This is it. So this is a track It's coming out soon. It's actually being mastered right now. But the bass here, I actually wanted to show. So I have a sub bass in mono, and then I have the rest of the bass line in stereo. And the sub is really low, and it's hardly audible. And then I have two wide basses that go on top. But on this track, I didn't do any mid-side EQ because I had not messed around and learned it. I'd actually learned mid-side EQ over the past couple months during quarantine. I started experimenting with it. I actually finished this one right before all this kind of went down, so this is probably one of the last tracks I've done that isn't fully mid-side EQ'd with Patcher. But yeah, so this one, and then this is how it plays in the track. Okay, I guess let me show this. So yeah, okay, that's oh, mid-side gates and distortion. Yeah, that's getting the stuff I'm trying to learn how to do because there yeah, you can put well actually I believe it theoretically, I could be wrong, but I believe with FL you can actually when you do mid-side EQing with Patcher like I did. I think this one's mid-side EQ'd. You can route effects straight to. Now it might sound a little crunchy, but so on this one. Let me go here, set it up real quick. Okay, so I don't have any audio coming here, and now I'm going to see if I can set this up as a test. And see, that's part of the beauty of all this. You just got to experiment and just see what happens sometimes. Like, so here we go. Mid-side EQ, A-side splitter, output 2. So then instead of going into the EQ, I should be able to use let's go Fruity Fast Distortion and put a little bit of fuzz on here. I should be able to go here and then here and then here and then let's see. Yeah. Oh, sorry. But yeah, you can. You just have to control how much you're using. Oh, but it works theoretically. But it's oh yeah, that is some hot distortion right there. Yes. Very hot. I'm afraid to turn this on. Let me turn it down a little bit. Alright, okay, let me turn a little overdrive. Turn it down. See, so you can overdrive the stereo field if you want. And then with this, you are not messing with your bass and your mono, your mid signal. So your bass and stuff will still sound clean and crisp, but you won't have to worry about, you can do whatever you want to your stereo side. And then in the mid, I could go through and cut all of it out, or I could bring it back. Like it's, once you start playing around with it, it's very fun to just mess with it and see what happens. Yes, yeah, I think a drum bus would be cool, and then you could control. Let's say you wanted to put a super wet reverb on some wider percussion and not on every part of your drum. Like let's say your snares are hitting dead center, you could just stick that, keep your snares routed to the mid, and then you could go ahead and stick some super wet reverb on everything else in the stereo field and let it go super wide and just wash everything out. Yeah, you have lots of options, and it's pretty fun. Like, getting to figure this out and learn about it has been kind of fun. Yeah, too many. But yeah, so I mean, and then if you don't like something, you just take it out, and then you just reconnect it here. And there you go. Like, you have all sorts of options, all sorts of things you can do. It's very fun. Um, yeah, I mean, one of the things I'm at, like, all these tracks, I'm at maybe 80-90% completion in my head, and I just need to sit. Oh, hey, Big D, I appreciate you, man. No problem. And I'm gonna try and be a little more consistent. So I'd love to see you come back and hang out, and we can talk shop some more. So really appreciate it. Appreciate you, man. Sounds good. And yeah, so we'll see. I need to finish some of these tracks and get everything done. Um, all right, let's see. I think I'm gonna work on this a little bit and get it going, and then I have a Netflix date. I need to catch up on Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. before the premiere on Wednesday. Alright, there's one thing I want to do here. Okay. All right. Yeah, I think it's time to give my ears a break in my headphones and chill out for a bit. I appreciate everybody tuning in. You guys make sure y'all give me a follow if you enjoyed it, and so you can know when my next stream is. And I really appreciate y'all spending your Saturday night with me, hanging out, listening to some music, talking shop. And thank you very much. Appreciate it. And PhuturePhil's out. I'll see you guys next time.